And then a little subheading for exponents, write the word negative. First and foremost, let me tell you that negative exponents are not your friends. They're not a good thing in your world. Not your friends. Now, the question is, where does a negative exponent? Well, a negative exponent would look like this. 3 to the negative 2 power. Now, a lot of people look at that and they go, well, the answer to that is negative 9. No. Negative exponents, I'm going to say this like 2 times in a row for emphasis, Lainey Kabarek. Negative exponents have nothing to do with whether your answer is positive or negative. Okay, negative exponents have nothing to do with whether your answer, when you simplify that, is negative or positive. Because it's a negative exponent, it doesn't make this a negative 3 or anything. It has nothing to do with it. Where it comes from is this. If you look at this, if I had, let's just do letters. If I have x to the 5th, over x to the 3rd. Do you remember how that simplified what we did when that happened there? How did that simplify? You would write 5 x's on top, and you'd write 3 x's on bottom, and you would cross off the ones that cross off, which would give you what for your answer? Cross, cross, cross. You're left with a x squared, right? X squared. Well, another way to, x squared. Another way to think about that is, what did you do? What did you do to get x squared? Another quicker way to do x squared, because if I had x to the 100th power over x to the 75th, I really don't want to sit down and write down 100 x's on top and all 75 x's on bottom and do all that. A simple way to think about that is if you have the same bases on top and it's a division problem, Elijah, you're going to subtract. 175 x's from 100 x's gives you x to the 25th power. Well, where would negative exponents come from, you ask?
Negative exponents come from.
Well, what if I flipped this over and said I started with x to the 75th over x to the 100th? And I use that same little rule with that, where I subtract the bottom from the top. What is 75 minus 100? Negative 25. So the answer to this is x to the negative 25th power, which is not my friend. I don't like that. Now, flip this back here a little bit. If I were to ask you to simplify this, and I did have you write 75 x's on top and 100 x's on the bottom, what would happen if you cross-canceled all those x's? 75 of the top ones would cross off with 75 of the bottom ones, and you'd be left with 25 x's where? On the bottom. So x to the negative 25th is the same thing as 1 over x to the positive 25th. Because that's really the simplest and the most logical answer to that. Now, without any further ado, I'm just going to tell you, anytime you see a negative exponent, how to change it into a positive exponent. So here's the crux of the whole thing. You don't, none of this really needed to make any sense to you. Hopefully it kind of did or kind of didn't, but I'm going to tell you exactly what you need to do that none of this, really makes too much sense. Here it is. To change negative exponents to positive exponents, comma, move the base number or whatever, it doesn't have to be a number or a letter, base number or letter from top to bottom or vice versa, and change exponent to its opposite. That sounds like a lot more words and a lot harder than it will actually be. I'll show you. As soon as you finish writing that, I will give you, and this is where you definitely just want to write some examples down, because if you have the examples, the process is very, very simple. Very nicely done. I see all this stuff here. A collective sigh of relief when you finish writing that will help me to know that you're done. Or stopping your pencils from moving. So here, first thing you want to do is think about this in fraction form. So I'm just going to put it over 1 because that's how I make any number that doesn't have a fraction over 1. I don't like 3 to the negative 2. I want to make the exponent positive. So what all of these gobbledygooky words just meant to you was that in order to make this 2 a positive, I just take this whole thing, 3 to the negative 2, move it from the top of the fraction to the bottom of the fraction, and it becomes then 3 to the positive 2 power. And then you have to have something on top, so it's just the 1. And then simplifying it from there, what is 3 to the second power? A 9. 3 to the negative 2 power simplifies into 1/9. That's what it is. You just take the exponent, the base, move it to the bottom, it becomes positive. Since I moved it from the top, there has to still be something on top. That's my 1/9. I end up with 3 to the negative 2 power being 1/9. Notice it's a negative exponent. Did it make my answer negative? It did not, nor will it ever. I mean, if there's a negative in front of the 3, that's a different story. But negative exponents have nothing to do with whether the answer would be negative or positive. So if I had this, 1 over 5 to the negative 2 power, in this case it's just the opposite. I take this 5 to the negative 2, I move it to the top, it becomes 5 to the positive 2 power. I can put a 1 on the bottom, but 1's on the bottom of fractions really don't do any good for us. You can leave that off. What is 5 to the second power? But 25. 1 over 5 to the negative 2 power is 25. Wow, that's exciting. Let me look and see what the book. Some other examples from the book here. Yeah, how about this? What would 10 to the negative 3rd power be? If I ask you to simplify that, what would 10 to the negative 3rd power be? Got an answer? Okay, negative exponents aren't your friends. Kate says.
1/1000.
Alright, so you think about this as being fraction form. I think you're right. I'll look and see. You move the 10 and the negative 3 to the bottom of the fraction, it becomes 10 to the 3rd power. A 1 on top. 10 to the 3rd power is 1,000. And it still has to keep the 1 on top, and it's 1 over 1,000. Now, if you're not confused already, let's look at a couple other things that deal with negative exponents. What if I have 10 to the negative 3rd power times 10 to the negative fourth power. And I asked you to simplify that. Actually, the book does this. 10 to the negative third power times 10 to the negative fourth power is 10 to what power? That's real tough. Now, it might help you to think about what if they weren't negative? What would be 10 to the third times 10 to the fourth power? What would the answer to this be? 10 to the third times 10 to the fourth is, Elijah? 10 to the seventh power. How do I know that? Because I just add exponents together. This is 3 tens plus 4 tens. This is 10 times 10 times 10. And this is 10 times 10 times 10 times 10. That's 7 tens multiplied together. What would the answer to this be? What do I get if I add negative 3 and negative 4 together? Negative 7. By the way, the only time, and this is kind of the step into this, the only time you're really ever allowed to use negative exponents is with what we're going to do next, which is scientific notation. But we're not going to do that just yet because I have to talk about a couple more. Right along with those things that were always difficult for people to understand, this falls in that category, just like what? Factoring and expanding. People struggle with that. Here is something, look at this. X to the negative 3, y squared, sorry about that, y squared, x, y to the negative 1. And you are asked to simplify that. Anybody have any thoughts or suggestions? Anybody at all? Going once? Going twice? Let me tell you, since it's evening. First of all, before you think about the negatives and the positive, combine what letters you can. Just like here, where I could put the 10 to the, because these are both 10s, I could add the numbers together on top to get a 7. But you can do the same thing with numbers here. Okay. What do I get? I have 2 x's here. This is a 1. It's not sitting there. What do I get if I have x to the negative 3 and an x to the negative 1? What do I get if I put those together? Remember when you multiply those things, you add exponents. What do I get if I add a negative 3 and a 1 together? Winkleman?
Negative 2.
Very good. So I get x to the negative 2 because I'm adding exponents together. What do I get when I add these exponents together? What is a 2 minus 1? I know that's tough math. Brooklyn, I'm going to guess that you can do that. 2 minus 1?
1.
1. I don't know, I'm all right. So I get x to the negative 2, y to the 1 power. Unfortunately, if you put that on your paper, it would be marked wrong for the simple reason of, other than when it's in scientific notation, you are not allowed to have a negative exponent here. So I have to deal with this x to the negative 2 power, but I already told you the very simple fix for that. What's the simple fix for fixing a negative 2 power, Adam?
Change it to positive.
No, I can't just make it positive 2. X, I can, but I have to do something to it first before I make it positive. What do I got to do to it? I can't just say x to the negative 2 is the same thing as x to the positive 2, because they're not. I can go back to this, remember this little rule right here? I have to do that, which means I would have to do what, Em?
You have to change them.
Yeah, I need to make this a fraction, take this whole thing, and move it to the bottom of that fraction. So on bottom, I'm going to have an x. Now I can change it to the positive 2. On top, I have that y. this is the simplification of this. And welcome to a slightly higher level of mathematical. It's not hard, it's just confusing. Shoot. How'd you and Rockford boys get along this year? Let me give you another one, because the only way to get this is just to kind of get used to doing it. You want a super hard one or nobody said yes. I don't want to give you a super hard one, but I want to see a super hard one. Sure, here's one. 2x to the negative 1 y x squared y to the negative 2 z. If I asked you to simplify that, tell me what you think you'd get for an answer. Now remember, the book will tell you this. You're not allowed to leave any negatives in your exponents in your answer. You can't have a negative exponent in your answer. So tell me what you think you'd get for that. Put my little one above the y there just to make it helpful and useful for you. Tell me what you think that whole thing, after all the smoke clears and the throats are cleared and all is said and done, what do you think that would simplify down to? No, you can't end up with a negative exponent. Wait, you might play rock for tonight, watch me. Not given. I'm assuming that you had second best mistake. I am up for anybody's thoughts. If you had your 3D glasses on, but I somebody want to shoot at me what they think they have for an answer there. Jenna Dervish, you got an answer? Oh, somebody must have an answer. Grace Price. Huh? And Grace, let us not forget about the rule of 1 share of separation if possible.
When he's here.
Huh?
When he's at 10.
Is he here? When he's here, we need to move over to I'm just doing this for Mitch says
X to the first power times y to the second power times z.
X, Y, Z. What happened to this guy here? I'll put a 2 here, because that 2 here. 2 doesn't just magically disappear. Anybody agreeing or disagreeing?
Disagree.
Oh, Mitch, what? Kate?
2x times z over y.
That's it? Agree, disagree?
Disagree.
Alright, shoot, give me.
I have y to
Y squared
over 2x to the first z.
Agree, disagree? I disagree. Here's what it should look like. Okay, like I said, first of all, the 2 doesn't go away, it's still there. By the way, this is all starts off on top of the fraction. It never starts out on the bottom, otherwise there'd be a 1 on top of it. First step is look for letters that you can put together. Are there 2 x's here? Sure there are. What is an x to the negative 1 times an x squared? Add their exponents together. What is a negative 1 plus 2? Just a 1. So you get 2x. You don't have to put the 1 there because we don't. The y's can be put together. What is 1 minus 2? Negative 1, right? And this z doesn't have any friends or partners or relatives or whatever, so he's still up there. Now that's all okay, except for one small detail. I can't, and I'm not allowed to have negative exponents. Which letter has its negative exponent? Y. How do I fix it? I need to take the y and move it, this is over 1, move it to the bottom. So it ends up being 2xz. Those are perfectly okay staying on top. On the bottom becomes a y. I didn't say you were wrong or right. I just asked if other people agreed or disagreed, Kate.
I agree with you, Kate.
Nobody jumped on the agree very strong there. Maybe I said agree or just maybe I said disagree. I don't remember. Yes, this was right. That was correct. Another one, because I can tell you're getting incredibly excited about all this stuff here. Now you're ready for some of the more difficult ones. Check this one out. 6 x to the negative 2 y to the third z to the negative 1 over, this is where things get all goofy, 2 x y. They are nailing you with a tough one there. Let me just help you with this first. First of all, if you deal with the numbers, 2 goes into 6 3 times. So this is going to cross out. This will give you a 3 on top. Let's just get that out of the way. Now, what do we do with the letters? What do we do with the letters? What do you do with the letters? I see some x's and some y's and some z's that need to be dealt with. Keith. Welcome, man. You might want to take out a piece of paper here, because this, everybody has been intrigued and exceptionally excited about this whole process here. Does anybody have a thought in mind here? What in the world am I going to do with that? And I'll give you a couple different thoughts. Some people approach this differently, and I'm all about different approaches. Isabel says
3y squared over x.
anybody agreeing with that? You agree, Ty? Ty agrees. Anybody disagree with that? Wait, you can't, there's nobody else done the problem? No, don't be confused yet. It's not time to be confused. Confusion comes later. Why do
3y to the 4th over x.
3y to the 4th over x? I don't know how the z left because there's no other z's there. There still has to be a z somewhere.
Yeah, but couldn't they even out?
There's only one.
That's
Can't
two.
even out with anybody. Kate,
Never mind, I agree with it.
Josh,
3x.
3xz.
That's fine. Wait, I got what you got.
Interesting. Okay. I'm going to walk you through this slowly and carefully and see if you've got to kind of put your x's and y's together. This is what I would do if I saw this problem, okay? Having x's on top and on bottom with different exponents and some being positive, some being negative is kind of confusing. So what I would do if I saw this type of fraction, step number 1 is I would move all variables or letters, if you will, to the top. Because I want to be able to put them together if they're the same, and it's kind of hard for me to do when some are on top and some are on bottom. So if I do that, if I move this x to the top, what does it become? And I'll put it over here next to everything. What is its exponent now? It was a 1, but if I move it to the top, it becomes a negative 1, because when you move bases from bottom to top, their exponents change their signs. That's our new thing, by the way, young people. Same thing with the y. If I take my y, which is y to the positive 1 right now, and move it to the top, it becomes y to the negative 1 power. Okay? Now that they're all on top, what do I do when I multiply these together? You just add their exponents together. So I still have my 3, I'm going to put in there, let's not forget about him. If I have an x to the negative 2 and I combine it with an x to the negative 1, it becomes an x to the negative 3 because you're adding exponents together. If I have a y to the positive 3 and put it with a y to the negative 1, add those exponents together, you get positive 2, correct? 3 minus 1 is 2. The z doesn't have anybody to combine with, it still stays z to the negative 1. Now my job is just about complete. I've gotten rid of all my duplicate number letters, but this is not acceptable for me because I'm not allowed to have these two negative exponents, so what do I have to do? Okay, thinking about this is over 1 still because it was over something. I need to move both this to the bottom and I need to move both that to the bottom. So what's left on top is 3y squared. And on bottom, what happens when I move x to the negative third to the bottom? It becomes x to the positive 3. And when I move z to the bottom, it becomes z to the positive 1 or just 1. So if anybody had 3y squared over x cubed z, then you were correct, Elijah Fisher.
How did you get x to negative third? Wouldn't it be just x?
No.
to negative
When I moved this x to the top, it became x to the negative 1 because there was a positive exponent here. If I move it to the top, it becomes negative 1. If you put a negative 2 and a negative 1 together, you get a negative 3. The beauty of math, 7th grade, the beauty of math. I can tell you're still very excited about this. Let's try Uno Mars. Not Bruno Mars, but Uno Mars. I don't know what Uno Mars is, but I got Lincoln on the lap, and that's really all. That's pretty much made my day. I want to find a good one here. How about this? All right, I'm just going to make this one up. 15 x to the negative 2, y, z to the negative 3 over 5x to the 5th, y squared, z. Quickly, we don't have much time. This is not that difficult. Let me see if you can come up with something there. Remember, you are going to want to move all 3 of these to the top and change their exponents to their opposites before you put them together. Then you might have to do some work after that, but this is a good thing to get on your docket. The number's just going to be a 3 on top, correct? Good call on that one, sir. You should be about done. Circle your answer. Don't have that much time for you. 45 seconds or less. So let's take a look at it here. I can't spend all day. We'll continue this a little bit tomorrow there. First of all, the 5 went into 15 3 times. I'm going to move this to the top by changing its exponent to a negative. I'm going to move this to the top by changing its exponent to a negative. And I'm going to move this one to the top by changing its exponent to a negative. Now I'm going to put my letters together by adding their exponents. Negative 2 and a negative 5 for the x's gives me a negative 7, correct? Positive 1 and a negative 2 gives me a negative 1 for my exponent. I'm a little worried about people not chiming in there. Z to the negative 3 plus a z to the negative 1 or times z to the negative 1, add those exponents, you get z to the negative 4th power. And I still have my 3 up top, and this is still all over 1. It's kind of my answer, but I cannot leave it like that because I have a bunch of negative exponents I need to make positive by just taking them down to the bottom. So my answer is going to be 3 stays on top. It's the only thing that doesn't have a negative exponent. X becomes x to the positive 7th, y becomes positive 1, z becomes positive 4. Is anyone remotely close to having that? We'll pick this up again tomorrow. Goodbye.